Oh, the record. Test. And sync. Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. In this video, I'm going to answer your most common question ever, but I think it'll help for me to just keep answering it, because maybe my answer will keep evolving, or you guys will realize, I don't know. So this question comes from James Scott. This is about a Hottop, okay? Hello, thanks for sharing all your content. Just getting started on roasting journey, aspiration one day having my own micro roastery business. Came across your YouTube video on the Hottop. Questions are, do you feel like that small roaster helped you learn / experiment before getting a 1 kg roaster? I remember hearing you talk about how some of the roasting theory didn't translate to the Hottop. Did they ever fix that separator in the drum that kept trapping a bean? Because that seems pretty annoying to have it take it apart after every roast. Yes. Would you recommend saving a little longer and getting a 1 kg roaster, or begin with the Hottop? Cool. Thanks, James, for your question. I appreciate this question because many people ask it. So you know what? Instead of me griping about how many people ask it and how many times I have to kind of answer it, I welcome these questions now. Okay, so and if it helps you, it's probably going to help somebody else. So okay. Do I feel like that small roaster helped me learn and experiment? Yes, immensely helped me learn. It was the Hottop is not cheap. You know, like if you're just getting into coffee and you're not used to spending so much on coffee in the first place, like maybe you're not a gearhead about coffee, like all the coffee stuff coming out is quite expensive, I'd say. It's definitely catered to like somebody who has, you know, money to spare. So I was like, this is still really expensive in terms of being just a really small roaster, and all that stuff, because I just really did not think I would be here. But you know, that's kind of besides the point. I think I wanted to, with that investment of like $2,000 or something, right? I wanted to just do it right. And this is something that I carry out through roasting today, which is like, I wanted to, like my cup says, honor the cup. I wanted to honor what came before me, being the roaster. Like I'm supposed to just guide this coffee to where it's supposed to be, or maybe, you know, maybe bring out what's already there for everybody to experience. So I really did feel like it helped me learn and experiment. I didn't think I was going to get a 1 kg roaster. And if I did, I didn't think it was going to be that fast. I really thought I was going to roast on this little tiny roaster for a long time. I was like not interested in doing any business thingies. I was really looking for another hobby, or like something that I could own myself. Like I'd been currently at that time, it was like 2018. I had just, you know, kind of started this new career path, or I had kind of agreed to become full-time marketer and manager in our original business, and just really devote myself to that. And I felt like I needed something fun to do on the side. And as often as entrepreneurs do, we always think like, what if we can turn this into a business? So that's kind of what happened with the small roaster. So I think that's really clear to kind of let you know what my thinking was. I was not really looking for a business. I think the fact that this roaster was gifted to me, but I still thought it was like, you know, we're still spending our money to buy this thing, so I didn't want to screw it up. But I didn't want to waste it. So, but I definitely was not thinking that we were going to turn this into a business. So again, I was not trying to upgrade to a 1 kg right away. Okay, so I think that's the big difference. Like people looking at my journey only 2 years ago or something, that's really not what my goal was. It was really to master this machine, really try to understand roast theory, because there was no way that I was going to invest in a 1 kg if I didn't feel like I'd mastered something about roasting coffee with the Hottop. I think that's kind of an important distinction to make in what my thinking was at that time. And I'm kind of like that with everything. I don't want to just keep being so like impulsive and impatient with what I'm actually capable of doing. So I think if you're thinking about, should I go for this or should I go for that, I really want to encourage all of you to not follow what I did, more know yourself. I think it's really important to know yourself as a roaster, as a person. What's your personality? Are you a gearhead where you just like new shiny things? Or are you really here to learn how your particular roaster works, and are you going to maximize the situation that you have? Or are you the type of person where if it's not the best thing that you can get, you're not going to give it your all? And those are all, there's no wrong way to do it. I think that's really important too. But what I'm trying to say is like, you should know yourself, how you are, what your purchasing habits are. Are you going to feel like bad that you spent so much money and maybe not feel worthy or something like that? We can get into like human psychology, but try to really know yourself, and wherever you land, whether it's a Hottop or even something more low-key than that, maybe it's like a genie. What is that? It's like a genie or gene, something like that. A different type of roaster. Maybe it's like you can't see the roast curves and things like that. Just know yourself. Like, how much time are you going to dedicate? Are you going to be motivated? I really try to ask myself those questions before we got the Hottop, before we got the 1 kg, and it was really like some inner work that I had to go through, because it was a lot of money, and we have to justify spending this money. But I'd say start where you can afford. If you can afford a 1 kg roaster, and there are some, I guess, different kind of 1 kg roasters, like the Alia Bullet is way more affordable, but is that the type of machine that you feel is going to get you to your goals? Like, I looked at the Alia Bullet, and I know that's like a video of mine that people get there. There's a dichotomy there, definitely two schools of thought. And to me, it's still, I didn't want to go in that direction because it was electric. So I knew if I was going in this direction already, I didn't want an electric roaster. I wanted a gas roaster, because eventually at that point when I was deciding to upgrade to 1 kg, I was like, it has to be gas, because eventually when I get to that point of like roasting super large batches, or knock on wood, like having my own roastery and all that stuff, which is the direction that I want to go now, I'm gonna most likely be using a gas roaster. So I need to learn how to do that, versus an electric one. So while the Alia Bullet is much more affordable, much less, I guess, risk, you can still roast outside. I mean, indoors, I think if you like finagle some kind of venting system, and it doesn't ask much of you. You could just plug it in. Whereas gas, you like have to have some sort of gas hookup. You have to vent it properly. I think it's a larger commitment to go with the gas roaster and the way that the way the machine has to work. I mean, my Mill City one in particular, right? So I had to think about venting. I had to think about where I was going to store it. I had to think about power. Not only like you still have to plug it in, right? But the fuel that the roaster was going to use was propane. I have a natural line hookup, but it's in our other garage, and I don't have access to it, so I had to use propane tanks, and I have to fill them all the time. So, yeah, I think if you're deciding to go with a 1 kg, the big factor is cost, amongst other things. But I'd say the biggest one is like cost. Like, it's gonna cost you some bucks, and yeah, theory is never gonna translate those 1 to 1 to 1 like exactly wherever you go. that's why it's called theory, you know. So the theory is, you know, we're supposed to have a 40-40-20 roast, total roast, what do you call that, ratio or something, or development. And that's all theory. You know, again, it matters what's in the cup, what are you tasting, and you can use that as a guide, and that's really all it is, because not until you get to the roaster and you're actually roasting and you're actually, you know, what kind of beans are you using, what's the ambient temperature, is your machine warmed up or is it not, you know, all this stuff that can come into. So don't worry so much about like the theory not transferring over. I think I mentioned that because I was still very young, I guess, in being a roaster. But just accept that you're going to have to go in there, you're going to do some work, you're going to do some scientific method and figure out what's going to work best for you. So don't worry so much about that. I think the big worry is cost, you know, where you're going to put it if you do go with a 1 kg, you know, and then the venting's a big deal. Once you start roasting a lot, the smoke is considerably significant, you know, if you're going to do it at home. So those are kind of the big things I would quote unquote worry about, or not worry, but be concerned with and put my focus and energy towards. Okay, did they ever fix that separator? I don't think so. I mean, I haven't looked at a Hottop in forever. But it happens. Like sometimes even with my 1 kg, like there'll be one little burnt guy in there for whatever reason it's stuck. Maybe it was a little oilier than another coffee and it will stick to the drum, and that happens. But with a larger batch, that's not really a big deal. With the Hottop, with it being so small and you have one bean, that's why it was a concern, because the batch is so small, right? I'm just playing stuff in the background so that you're not just looking at my face. Yeah, so yeah, it's an issue. But if you're roasting for yourself, I don't think it's necessarily a big deal. Dancing, I was dancing there. Okay. You can watch me roast this while we listen to Bruno Mars. All right, so yeah, it was annoying. It was annoying, and yeah, you had to take it apart every single time. I don't know, it was, in the beginning it wasn't really a big deal because you're making such small batches, you know, and you're trying to nail it, and you're gonna screw up a lot of them, I think, before you actually come across a good roast. But that's kind of part of the fun. And if we look at the Hottop here, you have to take this out, you have to pull out the drum, you have to make sure this is embarrassing. Okay, you have to make sure like this is clear of oils and coffee, and yeah, the maintenance is heavy. Like you're going to be spending, besides roasting, which a total roast may take you 10 to 12 minutes, right? And then add to that you'll have to clean this. You'll have to take this fan apart and clean this roast air fan. This is the heart of your machine right here. So you want to make sure that this stays clear of chaff and coffee particulates and stuff like that. And then this part here as well. So yeah, the maintenance it's part of the gig. That's maybe not so much the fun part of roasting. Same thing with bigger roasters. You get a lot more cleaning, but you don't clean as often as the Hottop, again, because the Hottop's so small. Yeah, it's part of it, yeah. And that's what I'm saying, you need to know yourself. You know, like if you know that you love coffee so much, or not that you love coffee so much, because I think so many people love coffee, but not so many people love roasting coffee and everything that surrounds roasting. It's kind of like how people look at us as wedding photographers. It's like, oh yeah, I love cameras, I like taking pictures. I'm like, it's a lot more than nice cameras and taking pictures, you know. There's all this other stuff that comes with being a photographer. So I'll tell you this straight up, there's all this other stuff that comes with being a coffee roaster. Again, that is kind of dictated and predicated on you and how you want to run your roasting journey. It doesn't have to be, you know, a lot of cleaning. I wanted to nail it. I wanted to quote unquote master this hot top, which I felt I did. And I roasted every chance I could because I was kind of obsessed with it. So, and I knew myself, like, I was like, I'm the type of person that if I want to do something right, I would just keep spending time and energy and researching and spending time and energy and research and just keep doing it until I feel very confident and comfortable with that skill or task, you know. And the love for the whole process from, you know, grading green and deciding what green I want, and then trying to develop a profile, and then actually roasting it, right? And then assessing it, the bean, and then cupping it, and then deciding, hey, like, is this good or is it bad, or how do I fix this stuff? Like, I like all that stuff. So if you like that, if you like the process of kind of a slow, steady process of always learning, not feeling very comfortable with new things, but feeling comfortable with uncomfortability and being excited that you're a jarhead about this thing, and that kind of gets your gears going, like, oh my god, like, what's this coffee gonna do? In comparison to that other one, you know, if you know that you're a little bit of a geek about that stuff, then coffee roasting's for you, I'd say. So, would you recommend saving a little longer? They're two very different machines, but I guess the big picture is you're roasting coffee, and you are going to dedicate some time. You're going to dedicate time, energy, and mental space to both of those machines, whether you get the Hottop or another 1 kg roaster. So it's really hard for me to recommend you to like get one or the other. It's really, I want to tell you my story, I want to tell you my experience, and I want you to be empowered to make a decision that you can own and feel confident and proud of at the end of the day. I don't want you to regret anything. I definitely want you to feel some accountability towards your decision, right? So if you decide to go with the Hottop, understand what the pros and cons are. Accept them and work with them. If you go with the 1 kg, understand what the pros and cons are, accept them, and work with it. That's it. That's really all I can tell you. That's my best answer right now. So I hope that really helps empower you make the right decision for you. If you're asking me what I would do, that's still really hard. I think I wouldn't change my journey looking back. I think a lot of people ask me that. They're like, what would you do if you could go back and like whatever? And I'm like, oh, I would have gotten a 3 kilogram if I was going to do this. But I don't know that I would now, because I'm not that futuristic. I'm really trying to know myself too, and I'm not futuristic. I'm very much like maybe in a year or so. And even that's really a long time for me. Like, a lot can change for me in a year, and how I think I would think, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't change what my journey was. I had a Hottop. I loved it. I felt like I mastered it in a way, and I wanted to. I wanted a bigger bite of it. And so we could afford a 1 kg, so we went for it. And that was with now the new realization of, I'm going to go bigger, but I can't afford that. So I'm going to get this 1 kg and start here and really try to work with this 1 kg. And that's what I'm doing right now. Okay? So that's it. I hope that helps you. I know it's kind of it's a lot to think about, but yeah, you should think about it because it's a lot of money. All right. Good things. Love your questions, guys. Love all the positive energy. I love all that. Really nice DMs, really nice comments and messages coming through. Really does inspire me and keep me going to make content like this so that we can continue the conversation. Again, like, what I say is not law. It's just, I'm just sharing my opinion, okay? It's really up to you to make your own decisions, and I really want to empower you as roasters and as coffee lovers. That way you can do the same for others. All right. Okay. Good things. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.